8 companies this week getting funding in the enterprise tech space, and over the next 10 or so minutes, we'll have a look at each and every one of them. A lot of money going into AI, and that battleground is really starting to heat up. B2B sales and revenue platforms also getting huge amounts of funding this week, and a bunch more. So let's go, because we've got to move quick. The first one today is a company called A21 Labs, who really are foundational technology for AI. They build an LLM, or a large language model, and it's really focusing on text-based AI platforms. These guys compete with the likes of OpenAI and Anthropic, who received a huge round not long ago as well. A21 Labs has a very simple value proposition. It's all around simplicity and getting that AI into your business applications as quick as possible. They sell this through a number of very straightforward use cases. So let's have a little look at them. Now, going through the website, this is a use case-based sort of value prop here, giving very simple instructions to how this platform can be used in business. They also have a sub-brand or a sub-company here called WordTune. And I suppose this is a way of them really showing a use case around how to use their large language model and their AI platform. This is for business users. It looks super simple to use. It's all around reading and also writing within your business domain, helping you do that rapidly, right? So if you've got a proposal to write, or you've got a proposal to read or summarize, this platform really does that super quick. So A21 looks really simple to get going with. It's got a studio, so the A21 Studio, which you jump in and you can sort of muck around with it. But like all AI platforms these days, it's all driven by the API. And that's where the pricing really kicks in. So a lot of what A21's pricing revolves around is really around the API. So, you know, how to access the API, speeds, feeds, things like that, and also the different models that are available to consume. Anyway, cool company. Clear and simple value proposition for the enterprise and for developers. Let's keep an eye on this one. Next up today is a company called Apollo.io, who raised $100 million in a Series D. Apollo.io is all about finding and nurturing customers in a B2B sales landscape. It does this through a few basic components. It's got data, it's got the workflows, and it's got the integrations as well. All of that sprinkled with a little bit of AI. So let's take a look at these guys. So scrolling down, heaps of customers, the world's most up-to-date lead database. So this comes with the data. Look at this, 265 million contacts in their database. They've got intent data here. I do wonder if they're using their own intent data, because that's not easy to do, or they're using third-party intent data. Also, these platforms don't often work really well globally. They're US-based, and they drive a lot of their sort of databases and things around US. It'd be interesting to see how good that database is at a global scale. Simple workflows, you pump through it as expected. So let's have a look how much this costs. Jump in. It's actually really reasonably priced. I'd imagine that's because they've got a very specific use case, right? They're not trying to do too many things. It's all about sales engagement using data. Probably doesn't have all the bells and whistles that a HubSpot or a Salesforce comes with, and the pricing reflects that. Cool tech though, and really easy to understand what they do. But let's keep moving. Another one in the sales and engagement space is Mediafly. These guys raised $80 million in a round. So Mediafly take a slightly different angle to Apollo.io in this B2B sales engagement space. So Media.io really talk about this sales enablement process, really nurturing the customer and enabling them on that sort of customer journey. This is probably more focused on complex value-based sales cycles. I really like this approach, and I haven't really seen it before, bring these things together. So let's have a quick look at what they do. So looking at the platform and the solution, it's really around bringing a few things together. It's got your sales enablement, but it's also got your content management in here. And it's about connecting those things together. You know, this is kind of that RevOps flavor where you've got sales and marketing coming together, really working as one in a sales cycle. So looking at this, it's really around connecting the sales life cycle with building content for that sales cycle. So enabling sellers with a content-driven approach, rather than giving the content management through the marketers or marketing, it's giving sellers that capability. That's quite smart. So let's jump in and have a look at the platform quickly. So it's all about using content to drive proposals or value propositions and putting that in the hands of the seller. Let's have a look at this further. Putting high quality impact content in the hands of your sellers, talking about the impact of different content. Anyway, there's no pricing for this platform available on Mediafly, and I would have liked to see a whole bunch of their competitors do, pricing is readily available. And this is what we expect, I suppose, from SaaS platforms these days. Looks like great tech though, so we'll keep an eye on this one. The next company today is a company called Rockset, who raised $44 million in a funding round. So these guys have built a database to help index and search data. So the platform ingests data from other data sources, indexes it, and then it allows app developers to really efficiently query and search that data. This is particularly useful for unstructured or semi-structured data. So the website is really aimed at developers and data professionals, right? It's quite technical. And if you look through here, quite happily calling out that they're cloud native compared to their alternative, which is Elasticsearch, which is kind of the incumbent in this space, built by a company called Elastic. So if you go through here exploring this cloud native, what they're proposing is they've decoupled the compute from where this data is getting stored. And that allows you to scale really quickly, because once it's decoupled, you can add compute resources to that, and it sort of scales as much as you want it to. And that happens really quickly. So jumping into the pricing, super basic to get going here. Look at this, like $9 a month for a single user. You get a whole bunch of capability here. Good for POCs, just to test out the product in some small projects. Once you sort of landed on it, settled on it, you're happy with it, built the business case, you can then move to these sort of larger enterprise plans. Anyway, a differentiated value proposition in, I suppose, an existing space. Huge round though, so we'll see how they go. Next company today is a company called Hyperstack, who raised $40 million in a funding round. They're a SaaS-based risk and compliance management platform. Now, that's not the coolest space, but it is one of the coolest names, Hyperproof. Now, this is a booming industry. We've seen huge amounts of regulation globally around, companies making sure that their data is protected, their employees and their customers are protected as well. The amount of change and development in the regulation space makes it incredibly difficult for particularly large organizations to keep on top of that. Regulations from Europe versus the US versus APAC, there's like huge amounts of them. How do you control all of that if you've got customers in every space? Looking at things like ISO or SOC certification and managing all the little controls and intricacies of those certifications. It's highly administrative, highly complex, and I suppose this website really talks about just simplifying all of that, making all these people are really happy with these pictures using this software. But this is an area where workflows, automation, and just management is really needed. You'd have to be a big enterprise though. That's why there's no pricing on here, because I'm sure they know who their customers are, who the contacts within those customers are, because it's a very limited space, but big end of town. Next up is a company called Teal, who raised $11 million in a Series A. Based out of France, Teal is looking to help employees and employers be more aware and work with mental health in the workplace. This is an incredibly important area, and Teal has a two-pronged approach, right? So you're looking at the employees, and the employees can get support through the application and platform around areas that they need support in, but also for the employers in the HR department or the people space. This lets them get an insight into areas within the business that need that extra support, and potentially being able to, work with them, create programs around the support for those particular areas. Now, as I said, this is an incredibly important space. Unfortunately, this company and the website is predominantly French. So there's a bit of an English value proposition here, but the sort of the demos and the screenshots are, predominantly in French. Now, they've just received this funding. It's obviously going to help them take this to a global audience. So we'll keep an eye on this company. Looking at more of a company with a specific industry focused, this one's called controlrooms.ai, and they received $10 million in a Series A. These guys are leveraging AI to troubleshoot manufacturing issues using analytics. And let's check this out. The website has a live demo, so we'll jump into here. I really don't know what's going on here though. This is sort of like this is kind of highlighting like different issues in this manufacturing process. I'm not in manufacturing though, so I don't quite understand exactly what it's doing here. Looks really cool though, and I'm sure if you're in manufacturing, you'd sort of understand it a bit better than what I do. There's not a lot to go on here. Early days, obviously Series A. Anyway, like this is, I'd imagine these guys are going to have some pretty stiff competition, right? So the large manufacturing software companies are either already released AI capability or would be investing heavily into that space. So we'll see how they go. It's going to be a busy area though. The last one today is a company called Conversite, who raised $9 million in a Series A. Let's quickly jump in and have a look through. It's a super simple value proposition, right? So scrolling down, like ChatGPT for business insights, like you just understand what that means straight away. So here's some of the use cases. Automate actions. Hi, I'm Athena. You know, what's my Q3 sales forecast? Boom, it shoots out an answer. Get proactive insights, which is kind of cool. You know, so you plug it into your different data sources, and then business users can start sort of querying it, whether those data sources are Excel sheets or they're actual databases. Then you can start using this in a conversational way. That can be good, that can be bad, it can be dangerous. I do feel, however, though, that this space is kind of going to be a very busy space. Like we've got some pretty serious competitors here. If you think about Microsoft very soon releasing Copilot, I wouldn't want to be up against Microsoft in a competitive battle. That may impact their long-term viability. I'm sure they've got a broader, bigger vision with more capability to come, so we'll keep an eye on this company. Anyway, that's it this week. Pretty exciting week. Whole bunch of stuff going into AI and that sales area as well. We'll be back next week with some more updates around funding in the enterprise tech space. Thanks very much. Catch up.